All right, let's get this show on the road. We are so excited that you guys are here. It just seems like yesterday we were all together again. But always start out by thanking our team. So some more great quotes from our Dynamite audience. Thank you, Ashley Jones and Bill Preston, for taking time to send our opening quotes today as part of your survey. And I just want to take a minute to say how much we appreciate all of you in the audience. We work really hard to bring this show to you, and your feedback, participation, the stories that you send in, the comments that you share with us are honestly the fuel that keep this show going. We may not get to see each other all the time, but your energy sure gets us excited as we plan these shows. So thank you for joining us, and we hope the show brings a smile, some great learning, camaraderie, and of course, good news to your day. We would not be here without you, and we want you to know how much that means to Jody and myself and the whole behind the scenes crew and all of our guests at Good News in Park. It is hard to believe that fall is right around the corner, but here it is. NRPA is next month. We're shopping for school supplies, and in some areas, the air is already turning crisp. I'm jealous of you, by the way. It's 100 degrees here today. So everybody's wondering about what fall programming and planning will look like. So that's our topic for today. And we have a great panel again of your peers ready to share their good news. So let's get going. Jody, here we are again. It's time to get this party started. Who is with us and what's the latest in national news?
Well, we're excited, and also we'll have another guest. We hope that she can join us that I'm going to introduce in just a minute. Pat Armstrong, a little technical operation difficulty. We know how that goes. But again, let me just introduce our panelists, and here we go. Pat Armstrong, she hopefully will join us. She is retired in the last 2 weeks, and she was the assistant interim town manager for Yarmouth, Massachusetts. And also she has served on numerous NRPA boards and committees. She highlighted her career with NRPA as serving on the program committee for over a decade. So that was 10 conferences that she helped organize, put in those programs and those educational sessions. So that was tremendous. She's also a past president. Oh, it's unbelievable, the commitment. Past president of Massachusetts Recreation and Park Association. She served as executive staff of the YMCA throughout the states of Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and Mass. She also just recently, she was the director of the community services. Then she went into interim town manager, and then she was the interim town manager of Yarmouth. Here's the key. She was budgeting for a $95 million budget. And so she did retire. And so again, we hope that she can join us today. Second, our esteemed colleague, Joe, been with you a long time, Joe DeLuce, Executive Director, Champaign, Illinois, Park District, fellow member, American Academy of Parks and Recreation Administration. He has also served as the Executive Director of Park Systems in Ohio, West Virginia, Florida, Georgia. He has served on the Capric Visitors Commission with the Council of Accreditation for Parks and Recreation Agencies. He also served 2 terms with Illinois Parks and Recreation Association Board of Directors, and he also has served as an adjunct instructor for the University of Illinois. And welcome, Joe, to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jody. Appreciate it.
Tom Venniro. Tom, sorry if I butchered that. Director of Hilton-Parma, New York, Parks and Recreation. He has been involved with various NRPA committees and activities, such as past chair of the NRPA Youth Professional Network, NRPA Public Policy Community member, and he also was Parks and Recreation content contributor. He has served with the American Academy of Parks and Recreation Administration as a past extern, and he also served on the 40th anniversary task force that had a commission last year to put forward that anniversary. He is recipient of the 2013 NRPA Robert W. Crawford Youth Professional of the Year Award. And also he's past president of the New York State Recreation and Park Society. He served as an adjunct instructor for the State University of New York College at Brockport. Oh my gosh, you guys, I think I got finally through that. Tom, welcome to the show.
And
Thank
Pat's
you. It's
here.
great to be here. Yes, welcome, Pat.
Pat,
Hey.
welcome. We are
Thank you,
ready
thank
to
you.
rock.
It's
All
Cape
right.
Cod, you know?
All righty. Okay, folks, I'm going to get to good news, national news, and then we'll get to our questions that came from you, the audience, for our show today. All right. National Association of County Parks and Recreation Officials have announced the list of national award-winning agencies and professionals for various contributions to our field. What's unique? We must applaud them. They have recognized some very different categories: social justice initiatives, removing barriers initiatives, and many others at nacpro.org, napro.org. Please go there. You'll see your fellow colleagues there that have been awarded and for some innovation, and obviously you can reach out to them. Also, number two, NRPA has just released the Parks and Recreation Advancing Community Health and Wellness National Survey Report. Key findings. Let me give you 3, 9 and 10, and this is applicable to our actual show today. 9 and 10 Parks and Recreation agencies take significant action to ensure health and wellness programs and services to promote health equity. Number 2, 84% of Parks and Recreation agencies offer in-person fitness and exercise programs. And number 3, 72% of Park and Recreation agencies offer virtual fitness and exercise programs. Folks, bottom line, you need to read this article and this report, because we are and can address social emotional health of youth, social isolation and loneliness, climate change, mental health disorders, and access to educational opportunities in the coming years. So definitely jump on that bandwagon and get that knowledge, okay? So go to nrpa.org. And then finally, the application process or nomination process is open now for the NRPA 30 under 30 nominations. It is to recognize the best and brightest. Let's bring our fellow professionals along, and let's also recognize many of them from the field. So that will be, and that deadline is October 1st, and please go to nrpa.org. So now let's go for our questions here from you, the audience. Question number one, panelists, when talking about fall programming and planning, with COVID numbers fluctuating throughout our country, how is your department managing your indoor-outdoor facility usage and program implementation? And Pat, we're just going to jump right in. Start us off with that question. You're on mute. You know, it's the famous word.
Yep. I'm not going to say it, but I know you
Okay.
can hear me. As a small department, we always, small town, we're always looking at creative ways to expand our resources. So what we're doing is not going inside as much as possible, because we know we can serve a greater number if we can create outside activities, and also have flexibility in time by using our website and our Facebook page to delay programming or move it to another day. We also are working with our libraries and our senior centers, and we utilize all their mailing lists as well, so that we can expand our reach into the community. And ultimately, we set our programs up so that they're not in competition with one another. So we overlap them to hope that someone who's interested in maybe archery at 10 o'clock, but also has a brother that mom needs to get to baseball at 1 o'clock, can do that by looking at the age of the families that we're working with.
Fantastic. You know, Pat, you've been there for several years and you just retired. Congratulations. But
Thank you.
I'll tell you, you have taken that department to an unbelievable level. And people, I hope you'll key in. I hope you'll go to their website, because they've done an amazing job at Pat's department. Well, past department, sorry about that. Joe, let's move to you.
Well, we're working, of course, with our local public health agency, the CDC, and also we hear from the state health department and the governor, of course. So as always, everyone else, things keep changing daily or weekly or whatever. So we're doing the pivot and trying to do what we can. We're really trying to make everyone wear a face mask when they're indoors right now. Also, our staff is wearing masks indoors. So we're trying to make that happen. We have an interesting operation. We run the Virginia Theater. It's a historic theater, about 1,500 seats.
Wow.
And how do you do that in the Virginia Theater? How do, we have Ebert Fest coming up. Roger Ebert started this festival, and it's a great, he brought in actors and directors and everybody, and it's a fantastic event. It gets about 1,500 people for 3 or 4 days, all day long. So we're trying to work through that and trying to decide how we manage that. So we work with the University of Illinois, and so they're going to require that everybody have a vaccination card or a test within 72 hours. So we're going to try and work with them to make that happen. We haven't taken that step yet where we're requiring vaccination cards or tests, but I can see that coming down the road. I know a lot of the restaurants and different places are going to that, requiring people to show those when they come into it. So that may be the next thing. I think today we were like at 8% positivity rate. So it keeps rising and it keeps growing. So hopefully we don't get to 12%. I guess if we go to 12%, we're going back into mitigation process. So hopefully we avoid that and get this thing under control. But we're doing a little bit of everything. We do our programming in facilities as much as possible, but also enhancing that with virtual programs. So a lot of our special recreation programs are virtual. They created a virtual club for the kids and adults with special needs. And so they're working a little bit of everything. So we try it all. We try to keep moving as fast as we can to make changes, but it's difficult and it really wears on the staff a lot. So we're just trying to keep staff motivated and all those good things.
Well, Joe, you've been historically the leader of our field, one of our key people out there that we've always looked to. Excellent information on percentages and where you're going right now, because really a lot of our colleagues are struggling, and that's why they're asking this question. So Tom, let's move to you. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, so you probably don't want to follow Joe and Pat on this panel because they do provide some amazing information. But I can add a little bit to that and echo some of what Joe and Pat have already talked about. We're looking forward to working with all the agencies that we partner with. And so, we're in a unique situation, and I'm sure many of you out there are, where you might be at the mercy of your landlord if you maybe rent space, or your school district if you use their facilities. So we might find ourselves finding multiple sets of guidelines. So at this time, we're looking at our indoor spaces that we operate, that we own, looking at those as common spaces. We're going to have people required to wear those masks, your hallways, your restrooms. When they return to their program space, that's going to be at this point where it's highly recommended. If you're unvaccinated, it's required. So we're looking at, again, those types of different policies as we shift over to the youth programs and into the schools. We're going to be at the mercy of what they're doing. And currently that would be wearing masks for everybody, staff and students alike. So as far as the mask goes, we're just like all of you. It's a challenge to work with the different agencies and the different guidelines. And I know it's going to be a challenge with the public, because you're going to get a lot of people, I'm assuming, that we've already seen, who are going to fight this and not really want to be going in that direction. So we're going to do our best. As far as other safety measures, we're going to readopt and kind of go into those enhanced cleaning procedures and basically promote physical distancing when we can, and when it's able to be done so indoors. And as it was mentioned a little while ago, try to keep some of the programs and events outdoors. And maybe some of the ways I can best, display what we're doing in the fall is to talk about some of the programs. And a couple people, or Joe, I think, mentioned going with virtual. So we've learned that many of our programs can be virtual and in person. So if there is the option to offer both, we're going to do so. There's some things that we toyed around with last year that we found were maybe some people's personal interests, like fantasy football or NFL Pick'em. And those are things that you could do from your own home, and people love to do that. Our big events, our Christmas or our Halloween events, we're going to move those and actually kind of piggyback from what we did last year, all outdoor, and incorporate items like drive-in movies for those, or scavenger hunts around the community, things where people can spread out, enjoy each other, but not necessarily be too close. And we're one of the really, really neat programs we did last year, and I definitely took this from one of our other colleagues. So we're going to continue on with programs like virtual visits with Santa. So just like we're doing right here on
Right.
Zoom. And let me tell you, I had the pleasure to watch just about all of them. The way the kids react when Santa pops on that Zoom screen, there's nothing like it. So, we're going to take a lot of what we've done and enhance that and keep going and being creative and adapt to the situation.
This information the three of you have given our colleagues is exactly what they've asked for. They needed to know now. What are you going to do? What are you doing? Let me just add another one. Just got a notice from, we all know Jane Miller, our fellow colleague. She's going to run the National Association of Park Foundation School at Ogilvie, West Virginia. Just for your information, we were notified we will be wearing masks at any time we're indoors or out of our rooms, except when we're outside. They are going to allow us at times to also take our mask off, even inside when we are eating and drinking, but we will be 6 feet apart. So they are going to institute that again. So again, I think we've gone through so much. You've been through it. You know what's going on. So everybody hang in there, because it is a fluctuation state to state right now, and we all know that. So let us go ahead and switch wheels. Anne-Marie, I think we're ready for our first poll. Switch it over to you.
Thank you, Jody. Yeah, we are ready for a poll. And as always, we like to know, what the pulse is out there in the audience and what's going on in your department. So the first question really follows what we've been talking about here. And we just want to know, as fall planning commences, are you having to adjust due to the Delta variant's effect on COVID cases? Yes, no, or still watching numbers to make determinations? I know there's a lot of different the effect is different in different communities and different states and what's going on. Some are growing faster than others. So it's interesting to see kind of what is going on and what those plans are. A lot of voting going on here, a lot of passion around this question. And, we certainly want to keep doing what we're doing and get people outside and get people involved, but we also have to make sure that, everybody stays safe. More than anything. So we're going to give you guys just a couple more seconds here to vote on this one. Let's close it in 3, 2, 1. And no surprise as we share, yes is by far the most popular answer, but a lot of you are still watching numbers to make determinations, and that's fair as well. It's still kind of unclear what's going on. I know here in Oregon, we're kind of watching also, and probably going to go to some mask mandates next week. But as for right now, everybody's just sort of watching the numbers to see what's going on. So very interesting. I want to thank everybody, as always, for taking part in these polls. You are part of this show. We love to hear from you, and thank you for taking the time to vote and let us know how you guys feel. All right, Jody, let's go back to you, and let's take our second question for our group here today.
Absolutely. So a key question, because again, we've all worked through so many different delineations of the way we're presenting programs or we're marketing. So here's the question from our audience. Talk a little bit about your department's marketing strategy as it relates to your fall programs and facility operations. And again, is there anything new, different, maybe you've done in the last, I'd say that you're even making adjustments for this fall compared to even 6 months ago. Let's go ahead and start with you, Joe, on this one.
Yeah, we focused a lot of marketing efforts on digital advertising and social media, especially videos. We interview staff on Zoom, for example, and use the video on social media. Then we cut the audio and use it on our podcast. So a lot of different things going on with video. In fact, we actually hired a part-time videographer to be on board with the park district, and they come out to all the different events or help us with making this, different videos for Facebook or wherever we advertise. So that's really helped the videos and getting those out. And it seems like it's really popular, especially with Instagram and everything, all the social media sites and everything. So the other thing we're working hard on is our program guide. I know a lot of people struggled over the last year. Do you print a program guide? So we held off and didn't print one. So we're doing it virtually. And it's interesting because I think we're able to update things easier. If you print one, it's hard to make updates and to get that word out. So here I think for summer, we've had 6 updates so far on our brochure, which we could never have done if we would have printed it. So now we're studying whether do you keep without the program brochure, or do you send postcards? Do you do a summer one? So we're going through all that study right now, trying to find out what other people are doing, what success they've had, and trying to compare without a brochure when we had a brochure. But it's kind of hard to compare to last year because of the pandemic. So it really makes it difficult to make a clear decision on what direction to go. Of course, it saves us probably about $100,000 a year from printing all those brochures, because we send about 30,000 3 times a year. So it would save us a lot of money, and it helps us provide money for advertising in different mediums like Facebook and all the local different avenues we have for social media. So that's one of the things we're working on. What do you do with that brochure? Do you go back and print it, or do you keep it virtually? So it's an interesting strategy in trying to come up with a final solution. So we'll keep working on it.
Well, can't wait to keep watching. I've been to your website. I've been watching you on social media, do a tremendous job, but I can't wait to hear more later on, Joe, because, again, you're one of our leaders. So yeah, I know that your department will be leading at the highest level. Tom, please take us away on this.
Sure. So I can relate completely with Joe. We decided to go fully digital, throughout the pandemic, and the biggest impact that's had on us is our budget. It's allowed us to allocate or reallocate funds that we would have normally or typically put towards our brochure. And so, that's not necessarily in marketing efforts, but in other areas too. So I won't go too far into that, since, Joe did cover that extremely well. So, one of the things we do realize there is that we're going to miss a lot of people that may be relying on that physical brochure. So that was something during this whole process to kind of evaluate how are we gonna reach these people who don't necessarily go to social media, our website, or our email list, however it is that we get that digital brochure out. And the big finding that we had and our takeaway of how we've been moving forward was partnerships. Now, we've all been part of partnerships. That's been, I think, nothing new to the industry for our programs and our events. But for marketing, for us, we never really relied too heavily on partners. And that's where we've actually changed course recently. Our school district has a digital backpack. So something that we've never utilized in the past, but it goes out to the entire district, and it's a fairly large district. So there are people in our district that we might not have even been hitting with our actual physical brochures that now we hit with this digital backpack. We have our own website. So our Parks and Recreation agency or department has its own website. That said, we have our parent agencies, our town and our village. We really haven't relied too much on their websites. So now we're utilizing their web pages. We are an agency within the agency. So why wouldn't we? And you get a lot of people who might be checking out their taxes because tax season is coming. Well, why not have your summer send-off event right on the front page when they go and check out what they have to do for their taxes, which is typically not something they want to look for. And maybe they find some good news on the website when they're looking for, again, the day-to-day operations of living in the municipality. And finally, we in addition to those partners, I want to leave you with kind of a story or a little anecdote that was very successful. We all have businesses that we partner with, right? Or our friends groups, and they've been successful in helping us spread the word. One in particular, I want to give a little shout out to. It's a small deli. It's actually called Petinary's Meat, Deli, and Pizza. So little mom and pop shop. Actually, it stayed in the family. The son and daughter-in-law took it over. Since taking it over, they have just blossomed their marketing efforts. They're on their own. So they've just boomed. They grew this business. It's a major deli and a major meat market now in the area. One of I guess a kind of a one of a kind place. Their audience and their reach is so big. They've surpassed our reach in about a year. And we've been doing what we've been doing for years and years and years. So when we came to raise some money for a playground, we were recently just installed a brand new playground, and it's going to be opening on August 27th. We're real excited for that. We were tasked to raise some money. And so how did we do that, right? We're not doing postcards. We're not doing anything like that. It's all digital and virtual. This group was so kind to get on board and partner with us, they did a meat raffle. Sounds kind of silly, right? But everything in the case, everything in the butcher case, right? And it was $10 a ticket. Their reach is, like I said, it's just massive, more than I could even imagine. I have no idea how they did it other than just good practices. I'm sure they did the research. Either way, at the end of the day, they helped us reach, I think they raised about $5,000 for this $10 ticket meat raffle. And it was all through their social media. And in turn, what that ended up doing was adding so much exposure just to our department. You know, that was for a playground, but then we had people that were coming to our website and our social media pages simply based on that partnership of working with a local business. So, you know, partnerships has been a big transformation for us in sharing our work.
And that is one business. Oh my gosh, Tom, way to go. Excellent example. Okay, folks, listen to that one close, because I know you've all got someone that you've worked very closely with as that partner, and especially some of the small mom and pop operations that have taken off. Pat, love that.
These guys are killing me. Do you like my Yeti? This
I
is my
love
Yeti. You guys are so creative. I'm checking things off my list here. Let's see what I have left. We print pencils. No. I'm gonna give you a few things in support of what the guys have been sharing. We have a local mechanic shop that the young family has young children in our programs. They are always reaching out and asking, what are we doing? And monthly they send out a digital and a hard copy newsletter to all of their clients, and our connection is always in there, and it has opened up a world of information for us and connection for us through the community. We also stopped printing a paper brochure probably 3 years ago, understanding that everyone either has a cell phone in their hand or a tablet on the counter in the kitchen, because if they're not looking up recipes for making dinner, they saw something on an ad and they're quickly going in to see if they can find it on Amazon. So we know that digital media is always available. So we just tried to spread our digital media identity as far and wide as possible. So Instagram and YouTube and all of that. And in Yarmouth, and locally, there are a lot of Facebook pages. The school parents have a Facebook page. All the independent sports leagues have their own Facebook page. Of course, Recreation has one. The fire department has one. The police department has over 14,000 members of theirs. It's crazy. So we always send our digital link, and they always will partner with us. So we feel that we've done well. And with the older population that might not be so tech savvy, they do have not only a hard copy, but a digital copy of a monthly newsletter as well. And they put it as a part of their information, that click here and you can continue with the brochure, seeing recreation programming and multi-generational. And we've worked hard to create some multi-generational programming to really kind of expand our reach in the community. COVID down here on the Cape was pretty wild the last, starting in July. I'm sure you kind of heard it on the national news that Provincetown had like a super spreader event over the 4th of July. So we all took a deep breath that we were going to have to shut back our programs, close down our beaches, wearing masks inside and out. But luckily that with testing and a lot of people were vaccinated, so we had a chance to keep things open and moving. But we anticipate with this new Delta variant, going with the governor and with the health department, that we will be doing some restrictions. And so marketing is being looked at to be more flexible, of course, so that we can change things as those changes occur and make sure we reach everyone who is looking to join and be a part of it.
Well, it will be very interesting. You know, Pat, again, you and I served on the programming committee at times with NRPA and different things. It'll be interesting to see this year what comes out at NRPA and most of our conferences, state conferences and everything, because it is evolution changing, and marketing is going to be the key of getting that word out and communication. Yeah. So.
And we're seeing that, people don't want to join the leagues like they used to. They don't want to have that long 8, 10, 12-week commitment for their children or even as adults. So they want to see more flexible one-off, two-offs, and those are easier to manage.
Interesting. Very interesting point. Wow. Well, thank you all for giving a plethora of ideas, but also some of them we're definitely using. It's kind of the norm, but you all just gave some great new ideas. So I hope this helps our audience today. That's why we're here. All right, Anne Marie, back to you for
All
our
right.
next poll questions.
I am still just loving Tom's meat raffle. I keep thinking of all these, sorry, this is kind of corny, but let's meet to play, and you can have a steak in the local playground. I'm sorry, I'll stop.
Okay.
I'll stop. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I love it.
Let's go to our next poll question. This is really interesting because we've talked about marketing before, and we had somebody actually write in and tell us, we don't even have a marketing staff. So we want to kind of know how that is across everybody. I know there's different size teams out there. So regarding a marketing staff, do you have a dedicated marketing person or team? Is marketing a shared function of another role in the department? Is marketing done through the city or county office, or do you not have a marketing person or staff who handles that? Kind of interesting because again, we get a lot of different size departments, different sized cities that are with us. I know, Pat, I love that you're here with a small town because we get a lot of people that say, we need to hear from smaller towns, and so that's always interesting as well. So go ahead and keep voting. We've got a couple more people out there who are still ticking boxes. We'll give them another second or two. If you haven't voted and want to, please do. And I know that Paul in our audience is having some issues with seeing the poll. So Paul, if that's still an issue for you, feel free to type your answer in the question and answer box as well. And for anybody else that might be having issues with pop-up windows or anything like that, you're always welcome to put your answers in that question and answer box too, as well as any other questions that you might have for our staff. All right, let's go ahead and end this poll and we will share the results with you. And this is really interesting because it's pretty well spread across the board. A couple more folks have dedicated marketing persons or teams, but almost an equal amount don't have anybody at all whose role is in marketing. Or as a shared function or through the city or county office. So that's very insightful for us. And again, we shape future shows on what you guys are telling us. So this is very helpful information to help us kind of continue to bring you information that is hopefully useful and good news. All right, so we have one more poll for you today before we take it back for our third question. And that one is regarding NRPA. A lot of talk about NRPA. So we want to know, are you currently planning to attend virtually only, in person only, both virtually and in person, or you're still undecided? And while you're voting on that, I just want to give a plug to our friends at NRPA. I'm on a lot of calls with them, as we'll be exhibiting there, and I'm on a lot of calls with their teams throughout the weeks, and they are working their tails off, guys, to bring you a great conference and a safe conference. And they're going to be implementing wearing of masks as well as other things. They're being very, very conscious about it. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. I know that, it's a strange time right now to be planning a trade show with all the unknowns, and they are really doing a heck of a job to make sure that we are all safe and protected while we're there at the show. So go ahead. It looks like everybody's kind of voted. It's slowing down. So we are going to go ahead and end that one and share it with everybody. Quite a few still undecided, but lots of different, looks like it's kind of all over the board there. So we know that you'll continue to monitor that. And again, please know that our friends at NRPA are working really hard, to keep us safe and to put those types of things in there. Okay, Paul, good to see. I see that that everything worked for you this time. So great. I'm glad that happened. And Jody, I'm going to send it back to you.
Well, I did owe that, again, I'm talking with some of the staff and then just know some of the volunteers that are giving their time and efforts to making sure this conference happens. Way to go. So Anne Marie, glad you brought that up because man, it is a thankless situation as the world turns every day right now with the COVID situation. All right, question number 3, 2 parts. Part 1, share with the audience your suggested or required professional certifications your staff either holds or are pursuing. And part 2, additionally, to keep key highly trained staff on board and motivated, share with the audience what type of staff recognitions your department is offering. And Tom, let's start with you on this question.
Well, first of all, I want to go back to Anne Marie and just say that the next time that we do anything with veterinaries, I'll be calling you, because apparently we did not think of any of those puns, and we need you on our team. Secondly, I think it was Christina in the chat said that she's worked with a local meat market about some kind of a charcuterie board fundraiser, which is also a pretty cool idea too. So
Yeah.
that's what I love about this, is that a lot of people here on this call have done so many of these types of programs and have so much to share. So please share that with us. And that kind of leads into my, I guess, my response to this. You know, we as a department are very active and are always encouraging regular training. So
Sorry,
your conferences locally, state, and now national conference coming up soon. So we encourage CPRP for whatever reason in this area in Western New York. It has not been one of those that's been, I think, highly, maybe highly encouraged or attained by agencies, but it's something that I believe here that we're involved in, we're invested in, and we're going to be pursuing that with more of our staff as we go on. So not necessarily required, but it's something obviously that we're already going to these trainings. We're already going to the conferences because it's something that we buy into and we're invested in. And so we want to make ourselves better. Our park staff is currently going in, taking a class for their CPSI, their certified playground inspector course. So that's something, again, just to make our park staff a little bit better. Obviously, we have a couple new projects going, which that'll help us out a little bit with that as well. As a department, I've talked to Jody recently about really just taking our department to the next level. We're a smaller department as well, like Pat, in the Western New York area. And ever since I went to my first national conference, maybe 10 years ago or so, I'll never forget the gold medal presentation and those videos that come along with that. And so, at the very least, that's what our next step is, to look into that and how to become a gold medal standard department or agency. Not necessarily, who knows, maybe one day we can get up there and make a submission, but there's so much that we can learn from those agencies right now and the process itself. So that's something that we're looking to do on the forefront here. And then just kind of a more recent one, as a result of the pandemic, we've become a licensed certified childcare facility. And so what we experienced during the pandemic, of course, a lot of you have very popular after school programs or summer camps, and some of the summer camps might be licensed, but maybe your after school programs aren't. Ours was not. It was looked at as a recreation program. And naturally, when March came along, March 2020, it was shut down. We didn't have the opportunity to carry on with that program. Just down the hallway and just across the street, we had a couple daycares in the area, and they were allowed to keep going because they were looked as an essential service. So we went through the process. We invested our time in going through and getting certified. We're now going to be able to be looked at as that essential service, as a child care facility. Not only that, it requires a much higher standard of program guidelines. So it's going to make the program better. It also requires a certain amount of hours for our staff to have to get recertified each year for the program. So all things involved with that certification process just basically make us better as it is. And it was at no cost to us other than the time. As far as keeping our staff motivated, and recognizing them and kind of giving back to them, right here, very, very much forward thinking when it comes to being involved and going and attending conferences. So anything that our staff wants and they come to us with, we are supportive of. We're going to send them to it. We're going to allow them to serve on boards and committees. It's given so much to me, which is given so much to my communities that we serve. So I want to bring that back to the staff and kind of bring it, really full circle, so that we're a team, we're a unit that has the same goal. And that ultimately brings us a little bit closer together and makes us a cohesive unit. So any opportunity I have, I've got our board's support and my support to move forward in that. Most recently, one of our employees is just served as the president of a local association. And as a result of the time and effort that he's got to put in there, that organization is sending him to NRPA. Now that, so that opportunity budget wise was not there for us to send multiple individuals to the national conference. And so now what's that going to do? It's going to show our stakeholders that, hey, we did invest some time into this local society, but guess what? They came back and invested $2,000 or so into one of our employees. And then the hope for that is that we can build it into our annual operating budget based on the experience and justification of what he ends up taking back from that. So we're really excited about that. And, just to keep it on the lighter side, we talk about motivation and recognition. We talked about food earlier. We love food around here. So every once in a while, we'll do what we call Foodie Friday. And again, keep it light, center everything around food, bring the staff together, especially in the summer when everybody's running around and it's high stress times. We need that break every once in a while. We need to talk. We need to just take it out from the work, and remove that. Just have that casual conversation and be a team, be a unit.
Tom, it's music to our ears out there in our audience and also on this panel that you're taking it to another level too, to get that support out there in that community and encourage your leaders and your staff at all levels to be involved, because after talking to you, you are our future. And thank goodness that leaders like yourself, I really see a strong evolution of our young leaders getting it. They understand they need to get out and get involved. So way to emphasize that and support that all the way. You and I have had long talks about some of this, and we got more ahead of us. So thank you so much, partner. Appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Pat, next to you.
Hey, Tom, I just retired and I was wondering if you have any openings. You sound to have the best department. I'm just thrilled with the stuff you're doing out there, and having grown up in the Berkshires and pretty close to Western New York. I'll give you a call after the show. Thanks. Good place.
My brother's out in Cape Cod this week, actually, Pat. So with his two twin daughters and wife. So I'll let him know that, or I'll let you know where they are after the show.
Yeah. Let me know. It's 93 degrees and 99% humidity. So most of us are indoors with the air conditioning on today, or in the ocean. In terms of the questions, in terms of certifications, we require, of course, CPR, first aid, any of those people who will get those advanced certifications. But in terms of the CPRP and the CPRE, we certainly will pay for that if our staff is interested in doing that. We encourage them to do it. We encourage them to attend conferences regionally and locally so that they can keep up their CEUs and keep up their certifications. And we encourage them to volunteer at those conferences so that they get an opportunity to see others who have gone through it for many years. We also have a Mass State Procurement Officers certification that we encourage our admin staff to get, because oftentimes when we're looking to procure things, we aren't as up to date on the new rules and regulations of procurement, which can be very complicated. And if you've got someone on staff that knows what's happening procurement wise, you can save yourself a lot of money and a lot of time. So we do have a finance department, and we also have a procurement officer within town, but I've seen simple things like replacing the dishwasher in the restaurant at the golf course take 6 months because we weren't quite sure about the rules and how it was supposed. And so we didn't write the contract with the vendor who was running the restaurants correctly. So when the dishwasher broke down, even though it was ours, it wasn't put in as our equipment. Thus, we can't buy a new one. Now, those sorts of things make your life insane. So if you can, an $8,000 dishwasher, 6 months, hello. At a $3 million budget or whatever. So that we feel is a very important certification. The CPSI, we don't have our staff do. We actually contract that out to a local group because, small town again, it's a lot easier to have someone come in and do the eval than to pay and retain those certifications, and they're close by. And we also, the town just put in MS 365 as our new software program, and we're finding that a lot of people just don't even know how to use the different parts of that. They don't know about the publisher programs. They're not comfortable with the Excel spreadsheets, and they can't really make them interactive and be able to do a lot of it. So we do brown bag lunches here at the town, and we take a different part of those programs and ask people to come and join us and get comfortable with all of those different aspects of the program. Then if someone in the library understands it and your staff has met them at the lunch, then they can call over there and get a second idea or a third. So it really, again, breaks down those silos and puts us all in touch with different departments and people with different interests. Some people love that stuff. Some people are begging for someone else to do it. Please don't make me. That's not my side of the brain that works. So that's been very, very helpful in getting people to know each other and being more effective with that software. And then I love the volunteer on the nonprofit board, our new recreation director, Amy Howell. And let me give Amy a shout out. She's just doing a tremendous job. She was the assistant director and moved up when I retired, and they haven't acted very quickly to replace the assistant director position. So she's a one-man band this summer with a lot of things to do. And with a staff, office staff, admin staff, but no real people except for part-timers and seasonals out in the field. But Amy now sits on the special event board at the Chamber of Commerce. So all large special events, from parades and Halloween specials and all that, she's working hand in hand with the chamber. And so the funding's coming from the small businesses that are a part of the chamber. And we actually share a building with the Chamber of Commerce so that we plan those big townwide events together and use the town resources. And a 501c3 nonprofit that I started about 10 years ago, we've now passed on to the chamber. So they're a 501c3 and a 501c6, I believe. So there's two different 501s that allow for nonprofit donations and expand our ability to raise funds.
You know, Pat, I'm glad you're bringing up the volunteer end of this, and really, we're going to talk about that later on another show, because we've had some questions about volunteerism. How are you managing volunteers? But really, there are some amazing certifications out there that we're going to bring up. I've been talking to some colleagues about that, because again, we're short on staff. We're having a hard time a little bit with recruitment. We all know that our budgets are challenged, but we're going to talk a little more about that. Thank you for bringing that up. And Joe, let's turn it to you and bring us home on this one.
Yeah, we do pretty much what Tom and Pat talked about encouraging staff for the CPRP and the CPRE. Of course, we pay if they want to take a class or pay for the certification to start with. So we really encourage that. We also have special recreation staff. So we have a CTRS we encourage, and we actually pay staff to take that, or when they do get it, they get an increase in their salary. So very important for especially with working with the kids and adults with special needs to make that happen. So we encourage it, and of course, all our operations staff have all the playground certifications and different things. So we try to do a lot of that as much as possible. How we reward staff, we have a couple different things we do. One thing that I personally do, we have 80 full-time staff members, and I send everybody a birthday card. And of course, I have to include some of our passes for our Virginia Theater for movies, or free popcorn, or free swimming pass, or whatever. So we do that for everybody in the full-time staff in the department. Also, our department heads and myself cook breakfast about 3 or 4 times a year for all the staff. So we have 80 staff members. We actually cook and make scrambled eggs and French toast and have a great time and bring everybody together. And that really helps build that culture we're looking for. We also do impact awards each month. So those staff who go above and beyond receive an impact award. They're nominated from other staff, and we call them out at an all staff meeting once a quarter. And we actually give them a $50 bonus for winning an impact award. So it's really been popular. Of course, it gets more and more every time. I think I had about 20 or 30 of them last time, so it gets very expensive, but it does encourage staff to do things and go above and beyond. And that's what we're looking for, the staff to go above and beyond. The last thing we do each year, we do a Champaign Park honors event. So we honor all our staff who've done fantastic work throughout the year. They won those impact awards or nominated for Outstanding Employee of the Year. We also at the same time do awards for community members who are partners or people who volunteer for the park district. We bring them all together to be our theater, our 1,500 seat theater, bring them on stage and make a big deal about it. So it's a lot of fun. We've been doing it for about 5 years now, and we actually have our operations staff make the awards for the program. So they actually have our logo, a tree on a base, and we give out awards. And many of the people in Parks and Recreation, remember Bob Tolson was a longtime director here for the Park District, and we actually have a Bob Tolson Legend Award. So we give to people who have, like Joe Bannon, different people throughout the history of the Park District have stepped up and become legends. And we actually do that award each year. And his wife comes and presents the award since he's passed away.
Wow.
So great opportunities, and we just have a lot of fun with that event. So if you ever get a chance to do that in your agencies, it is a lot of fun, and it brings a lot of recognition to the community and to the district.
Well, and it takes you out of that everyday work environment just to be together, and your team camaraderie is so high. I'm aware of, again, your staff and dynamic department, even when Robert was there. So, oh my gosh, that is just fantastic. Well, we all know we can't thank our staffs enough. Golly, I remember us doing a lot of recognitions when I was director and some other levels of the department. And you can't say enough to them because they carry your department. Now, folks, I'm going to tell you, we do not practice these answers. I just want you to know we don't censor them. This is not a setup, but Anne-Marie, I'm going to turn it over to you because Joe just led us into this, and let's recognize some of these unbelievable staff members of our communities and departments.
This is the best segue in the history of this show. That's
Yes.
absolutely amazing. So we like to do this segment. We call it Good News in Parks about great people. And we like to give the folks on our panel an opportunity to recognize somebody on their team that's doing a tremendous job and just kind of pass on the love. I mean, we have a limited amount of folks we can have here, but we understand that nobody is a one-man show. And so this is just a really great opportunity to recognize some other folks that are doing great things in parks. So we are going to start with you, Joe. Let's talk about Jamil.
Well, Jamil Jones is our Director of Recreation. He's been with the Park District for over 21 years. He started as an intern from the University of Illinois Recreation, Sport and Tourism Division in January 1999. So the interesting part, the very first day Jamil was working as an intern, they had a ski trip planned. So he got on a bus with about 50 kids and staff as an intern, and they were on their way to the ski resort and were in an accident. It was snowing and a blizzard hit. They couldn't see, and actually their bus hit another semi-tractor trailer. So it was really very serious. So they actually had to take care of the kids and get everyone back home. And Jamil was his first day. We thought for sure he's not going to last. He's going to quit. So 21 years later, he's still working here. So that tells you a lot about this person's character and his work ethic and everything that he's done over the years. So we just can't say enough great things about him. Not only is he running the recreation department, he also takes time to volunteer to coach a AAU basketball program. So they travel over the Midwest and play in different divisions, and they just had a fantastic record over the years. He just does a fantastic job with the kids. He's also really works well with the community and developing those partnerships. So he does a fantastic job of reaching out and working with people. And as we like to say, we really want to be a yes park district. We want to say yes because so many times in government, it's easy to say, no, we can't do that. But he's helped bring it home where he works with people. If we can say yes to the right things, we try to do that. So he's that type of person. We're willing to say yes, jump in and do it if he has to, all on his own, just to make it happen. So when we look for people, we look for people with great personalities and have initiative. And he really demonstrates that he has both of those and has done a fantastic job. So the other thing we talk about is that you interview for your next job every day you come to work. So every day you're coming to work, you're being interviewed, not only by us, by other people in the community and whatever. So he has really demonstrated that he's moved up from an intern to the Director of Recreation over these 21 years and has proved day in and day out that he's the type of person that gives 110% all the time. So we're really proud to have Jamil as one of our employees.
That's awesome. I can't imagine that first day of work with that bus trip and that accident. And what a wonderful person. And it's amazing how people find the right slots, and it certainly sounds like he did, and you have yourself a treasure there. So thank you, Jamil, for everything that you do. All right, Pat, your turn. Tell us about Michael.
Mike Bovino came to us as a 16-year-old lifeguard in our oceanfront beaches. He grew up in New York, and they had a family summer home here on the Cape. And his dad was in education, and Mike went on from being a lifeguard and progressed through our process of head guard to beach director. So when he went to school at, is it Maryvale? Let me just look at my note here. Marywood University. He stayed with us those 4 years through college, and then when he graduated from college, he came on board as a program specialist with us, and worked with us for about 5 years until the big crash of 2008, at which point all staff was reduced, and we were left with the director and a half-time clerical person. And so from there, we had to start building again. So Mike started working with us on a part-time instead of a full-time basis, and then began coaching and ended up with a PE position in the school. So we lost him, or so we thought. But he continued to work with us, supporting programs, working, and he created a ski club that the kids could be a part of. And it kind of seamlessly put the kids between recreation and our middle school and high school programs. Mike went on to become the athletic director at our large middle school in town. And then just last month was appointed as principal of the school. So he's here in Yarmouth, started in Parks and Rec, invested in the community, bought a house in Yarmouth, married the head swim instructor, which is that gal in the goggles and the pink hat next to him. And together they have raising 2 beautiful children, and they're contributing to many aspects of our community. And it's because they started in Parks and Rec. Just about, I think, 47% of teens have their first job as in a Park and Rec facility somewhere. Is that number low? I'm not sure. I think that's the last one I saw. So we know that the people that we hire at 16 and help grow and mature and learn have investments in our community and stay here. And that's one of the hardest things for us, is that sticking out here in the Atlantic Ocean, we lose a lot of our young people because they've always lived down here in this kind of isolated area, and off they go to the city and other places. Michael came from somewhere else. He stayed here. And because of that, I think others stayed here as well. And that's what we're working on, keeping our good, highly motivated young people and their young families in our community, and then having an insight into that community so that we service them with what they need to stay here.
That's amazing. You know, it's interesting with people who start out that way, and what a cool progression through a career, and it's doing those partnerships with, you know, between the schools and parks and making those connections. That's just great. And what a great job. My first job was similar to that. It was an outdoor job. It wasn't for the park director, but it was outdoors. And I just think that's just a great way to get started. And so thank you, Michael, for everything that you've done, both at the school and in the park district. All right, Tom, bring it home for us and tell us about Ryan.
Sure. So yeah, Ryan's our assistant recreation director as of, I think it was as of March of this year. So recent promotion from a rec supervisor. He's been with us for about 6 years. Started as a intern in this field with a neighboring community. After that, he ended up working in therapeutic rec. And then about 5 years later, he found his way back to us. And we couldn't be more fortunate. He's the kind of guy who he wears every hat. And, we have an amazing staff here. And so I do want to put that out. All of our staff and our team does so much. And Ryan's that kind of guy. He takes the lead. He's everything from a coach to a food service worker to a trainer to your supervisor, and he captures the heart of everybody that he is involved with. He's the type of guy you don't say no to. So when we need sponsorships, we go to Ryan and we have him make the ask. So he's our secret weapon when it comes to that. In addition to everything that he does for this community, which is a lot. It's what you ask for. A lot of what Joe touched on with Jamil and Pat, with Michael, in addition to that, he's doing all the right things for his peers in our profession as well. And he's the gentleman that I referenced earlier who recently took on that local presidency role in our Genesee Valley Recreation and Park Society. He's scheduled to attend his first conference, his national conference. He's been speaking about it for years, and now it's going to happen. And we hope that that's going to be something where we get him involved in that and make that something on an annual basis for him. And so, his goal is to give back. He wants to give back to his community. He wants to make himself better. He wants to give back to his peers. And he does that every day. And, we couldn't be more fortunate to have someone like Ryan on our team. And you could see by his photo to the right with his girlfriend, Tina, he is a very big outdoorsman. So that I totally forget where that is. He went on this massive out west nature trail and, the canyons, all that. And he brings a little bit of that to us too. So great guy. And it's kind of like Jody said earlier, he's the kind of guy that we see leading this profession around here for many, many years.
Sounds like a tremendous asset. Thank you, Ryan, for everything that you do for parks. We talk about this all the time, Jody and I, that we just absolutely love this segment because the people in Park and Rec are just amazing. It's just an amazing group. And it's interesting that, as I talk to people that I know that aren't in Park and Rec and don't really, understand what I do necessarily from a day-to-day basis. And I'm telling them about the services that everybody is doing. And, they all hike and they all sort of take these things for granted. Like, I can go out and do these things outdoors, and we go to the local park. And, I always say, well, do you think about the people that are doing that? And, the sudden crush of people that are trying to be outside, and you all handle it with grace and with ease. And it's amazing. So hats off to everybody, honestly, in this profession. It just never ceases to amaze me. You guys are amazing. All right, let's go to our Q&A from our audience. We've got a few comments. We always like to get those in because, again, you guys are part of our team here too. And so we want to make sure. Shannon said, Shannon's from Virginia Beach. When we were talking about the printing, she and her team stopped doing printed guides a few years ago, and they rely heavily on social media and web pages. A lot of people do that. It's kind of nice too to be able to save some of that print money and be able to do some other things with limited budgets, right? So that's great. Martin in our audience says that he uses an outside marketing firm. Thank you for that. I forgot that. That's a great option. I imagine there's others out there that do that. So thanks for that feedback. Dee, I'm not sure who this is in response to, but she says, I love that you have a CTRS. We have very few of them in the parks and rec departments in Alabama.
Joe.
Okay, great. Shannon, oh, this is interesting. We have a department morale committee that plans events and activities throughout the year. Each center and admin building plans events in their buildings. Last week, we had a donut eating contest. Yum. And this week is the paper plate disc throw. Next Friday is an relay. How creative. Awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun. I could totally get down with that donut eating thing. Although I don't think I could eat a lot of them. I would certainly enjoy trying. So thank you for that. Some fun ideas for everybody. And then Jay just wants to thank everybody. Another great episode. Thanks everybody for being here. Thank you, Jay, for being here. We absolutely appreciate you and everybody in our audience today. Okay, so we want to at this time share, you'll notice when you get your surveys, and we'll share that survey link with you in just a few minutes, that there's a question on there about your good news in parks, and if you have anything that you want to share with us. And so that's kind of a new segment that we have just started here, and we call it Sharing Your Good News. I know, not as creative as the meat ideas, but there it is, that's what we call it. So let's get going with that. Brian Sullivan from the Village of Hawthorne Wood shared that they have an upcoming official ribbon cutting that may have happened by now, I'm not sure. I know it was coming up pretty quickly for Meadowlark Park and Arboretum. It's a 3.5 acre park site with 4 different prairie types, which are found in Illinois, 4 accessible play pods, each depicting a different historical geological time period, glacial, woodland, wetland, and future. Educational signage, and a diverse treescape with 43 new trees, including 30 different species. That's cool. There are family picnic areas and accessible benches with a nature walk and a rustic styled little library made possible by a grant from local Rotary clubs. I love that. They successfully leveraged one state ID&R grant into 5 separate grants to pay for the park. It was resulted in a park valued in excess of $1 million. Wow, great job, guys.
Wow.
Lark Park and Arboretum will be open all year round between sunrise and sunset and is fully accessible to all. So if anybody is in the village of Hawthorne Woods in Illinois, stop by. It sounds like an amazing park, and congratulations to you all, Brian. Thank you for sharing that story with us. We also heard from Pam Gary. Pam was a panelist with us on one of our very first shows. And she shared that Darien Park and Rec in Darien, Connecticut is working with a group of moms that have kids with a variety of disabilities to add a buddy system to their current programs to ensure everybody can participate without making anyone stand out. That is so cool. So this is really cool. The volunteer buddies partner up with a child who needs assistance, just sort of quietly partners along with them. And it's a great example of inclusion, partnership, friendship, and learning as those children learn to cooperate together with people who are just like them and love to play, but might be a little bit differently abled. So some just really cool opportunities there. These photos are from their Grit Ninja session. That is really cool. Look at all those fun things that they're doing, and obstacle courses and tug of wars and all sorts of fun things. So Pam, we love this, and thank you for sharing that great example. And then we want to welcome you all, please, to join us on September 9th. Before I talk about that, there's that scan code, so you can scan that right now if you want. If you've got your cell phones out, you can scan that to take the survey for today's show. Do not be scrambling for your phones if they're not handy. You don't have to do that. We will send out a survey within a day or two, or a link to take the survey. So everybody that's here on the show today will get this survey. That is how you get your CEU. So if you're looking for a CEU for the show, you need to take that survey. But also, we really want your feedback. We want to know what you loved about the show, what you'd like to see on future shows. If you have stories to share, again, we love to share your good news and things that are going on. So all of that can be done through that survey. And then Thursday, September 9th, always at 1 o'clock Eastern, we're going to have a show on 2022 strategic planning, full steam ahead. 2022 is right around the corner. Just crazy. I can't believe how fast these years are going by. So we are still working on the guest roster for that, but we'll be launching that. We'll be sending out some emails to invite you to register for that. So we are super excited about that. Super excited always about the show. And for you guys and joining us here. We just love that you're here with us today. So thank you for that. And Jody, I'm going to hand it to you to take us out.
Well, you all know how I feel about you. We've been friends for a long time. And Tom, you and I are getting really acquainted as a mentor and mentee. I can just tell you, thank you so much from the heart. I've worked with you for years, and you know, you're the best of the best, and that's who we have on the show. But not only that, esteemed colleagues that want to share, and you are so down to earth. No matter how you've gone and been promoted in your positions, you've always stayed true to the field and always been very down to earth. Thank you so much for being on today. What a takeaway if we ever had an event locally, and maybe more than that, exposed even virtually. And maybe the new event is, if you ever worked in Parks and Recreation, give a shout out on a virtual event or something. We might try to do that sometimes, because I think you'd all be very shocked as some of our esteemed colleagues recognize who's worked for a Parks and Rec, even as a teen, or even started their career, and now they do something different. They may be owning a business or whatever. So stay tuned. You know how creative we are. We might come up with something. So we're dangerous. We know enough to be dangerous, as I've said before. Okay, partners, we're signing off. And Anne-Marie, again, thank you so much for a great show. This is all about us, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all so much. Just want to share one more comment. Tom, you have a fan in Lisa in our audience who said she is super proud to call you an A player for the New York Rec and Park Society. Thank you for everything you do, and for everybody for this wonderful program. I loved it. Thank you, Lisa, for being with us, and thanks to everybody. And we're going to see you on September 9th, right? Don't forget to find somebody in your office or your department that doesn't watch this show and doesn't know about the good news, and sign them up. Let's get this audience growing and keep spreading the love. And we are so excited to have you guys with us. And thank you again to all of our guests. I know you are swamped. Did you get that cup? Hold up that cup, Pat. Pat's got the Yeti, the paper Yeti. We love that. And we will see you all on September 9th. Thank you, guys.
Take care. Thank you.
Glenn,
Bye.
thank you.